You should be embarrassed to allow yourself to be that kind of person that does that. The only thing you've got is your reputation. But the standards we walk by are the standards we accept. And this is the problem with the UK at the moment. In this video, though, I'm going to talk about police a little bit, the military. I'm going to talk about our own personal individual responsibilities, and people are going to find that quite difficult. But then I realised on this YouTube channel, especially with the comments, people are going to find it difficult. What do? Do I just stop speaking my mind? I'm not saying I'm right, by the way. I'm just saying, hey, this is how I feel about it. Now, here's the problem with standards, all right, is that unless we continually try and improve our standards, we go backwards. There's no staying still. We're either going forwards or backwards. So every day we have to do something little, else as a country we go back. And it's become very easy right now in the UK to go backwards. It seems that we completely accepted that we don't need to uphold any kind of standards whatsoever. I'm really worried about that because I don't want to leave. And I'm not really prepared to leave the UK. And where would you really go anyway if you did leave? But I don't want to live in a country where I just don't see people upholding basic fundamental standards. Let's have a look at it. Litter on the street, all right? Let's look at cannabis use. Let's look at, there's a load of things we can talk. Look at people not paying. I mean, it seems in London now, you can get away with walking into stores, walking out with alcohol, as long as it's below like £200. No one's stopping you. I'll tell you, the only people are stopping you are minority security guards that probably aren't going to be hit by the police for stopping someone because they are minorities themselves. If it was a white security guard stopping someone robbing it, that white security guard's the police are probably going to do them, aren't they? The police are probably going to do the security guard for trying to prevent the theft. And of course, a lot of shops tell the security guards don't stop people stealing stuff. They're stealing meat, they're stealing alcohol, they're stealing products they can resell. Look at the tools being stolen from vans, from workers who need those tools at car boot sales. Lots of that going on. And Robert Jenrick, of course, today, he was following people around on Transport for London, wasn't he? And he was filming them. Now, he was filming one particular demographic, which was white men. He didn't film anyone else, of course, but he was showing people going through these turnstiles and not paying for their travel, which means that you're subsidising their travel because you are paying. So there's an issue in the UK. There's an underclass of people that have no interest. Let's talk about Muslims. Let's talk about Islam. Let's talk about Jews. Why not, Tim? Just you may as well, mate. You could talk about everything else. So in the British Army, this pisses me off a little bit, right? And I'm going to call it out because I don't believe Islam has any place in the West. None. Zero place in the West, all right? And if you go to Saudi Arabia, Qatar, or you go to the UAE, you won't find a Christian in their government because they're Islamic countries. Now, we're such a liberal democracy. We're so clouded with this empathy, this feminist matriarchy that we live in, that we believe empathy can cure all. It's the Eve with the snake, isn't it? And the apple thing. You know, I can cure it because I'm a woman. And we've allowed women, unfortunately, and weak men to ascend to the hierarchy in all our institutions. And the problem is, like, for example, this is one of the issues I've got right now, and I'll tell you what it is. In the UK, there's 6.5% Muslims in the UK. It just went up like bang, 6.5%. Rapid, uber rapid. 6.5% of the UK is Muslims. Now, I haven't got an issue with individual Muslims. I've got an issue with the number of Muslims. I don't want 6.5% in the country. What do I want? I don't know, but I don't want 6.5%. I do not want 6.5%. Incidentally, in the UK, 0.4% is Jews. I think 0.7% is Sikhs. Smaller numbers, but 6.5% are Muslims. Now, you would have thought 6.5% of Muslims, seeing as Muslims care so much for the UK, they want to come here, you'd find in the British military, they'd be 6.5% as well. They're not. In the British military, Muslims represent 0.001% of the military. There's in the entire military. Now, the military is 136,000. That in itself is a crime. When I joined the military back in 98, the British Army was like 130,000. All right. But now, unfortunately, the entire military is 136,000. I think the entire police force is 170,000, which means our entire apparatus of enforcement of the state is 300,000 people out of a population of probably now about 80 million. This is why the state is so scared of people like me speaking out and Tommy Robinson having his YouTube channel back and they're worried about it because guys like me, who I've got no axe to grind whatsoever, I'm a white British man and I should be able to say that I'm worried about the erosion of the white individual in this Christian nation. I should be able to say that freely because I am, because we are being eroded, we're being replaced, whether you like it or not, guys, whether they're telling you or not, we are being replaced. Now let's get on with this. So in the military then, out of that, so 0.0001% of the military are Muslim. That's 650 Muslims out of 136,000 people, of which about 400 in the British Army. The British Army seems to attract them more, 400, and then the remainder in split between the Navy and the Air Force, of course. Now, Jews. Well, how about Jews? Well, I think it's 4 million Muslims in the UK, 6.5%. Now, in the UK, there are 250,000 Jews, which make up of the population about 0.4%. But in the military, those Jews make up a much higher number. It's very interesting, actually. Proportionally, they make up 0.055% or something. I did some maths on this recently. And there's only 150 Jews in the entire military, which is weird, isn't it? Out of 136,000, but it's only 250,000 in the UK. 150 over 250,000 comes out about 0.055%, whatever. But it actually means that there are 550 times, 550 times more Jews proportionally in the army, or in the Air Force and the Navy, in the military, than there are Muslims. So when people talk about how much Muslims care for the UK, obviously they don't, mate. Obviously they do not care at all because they're not joining the military. Hence you get this diversity push, don't you? But the Jews do. Jews do care about the UK, proportionally 550 times more than Muslims do. They are 550 times more represented in our British military than Muslims are. Now, I have not done a statistics for the police force. I cannot talk about that, but by all means, crack on and do them yourself if you want to. I don't know how that kind of stuff works because our police forces in the UK, they're in constabularies. I can't remember how many there are, 40-something constabularies. I haven't done the maths on that, but it'll be an interesting one. So I've got this big issue with Islam in the UK, and I have done for a while now. I don't see, I'm on a podcast in London next week talking about it. This is not what this video is about. It's about standards, right? It's about personal values and standards. And one of the issues I have is this failing competency of the individual, whether that's in towns and cities or like I see litter, I see graffiti more, I see broken bottles. And this is coming out into the countryside now where I live. When I go into cities, I'm like, what are you guys doing? Like in individual roads, I'm like, mate, clean it up. Like we can use Jif kitchen cleaner to get graffiti off road signs. Someone's tagged a road sign. And it's that language everyone's using now, and that UK language. What is going on? Is this in schools? Are people allowing people to speak like that? But you know what I mean? It's like we should be enforcing proper English, proper grammar. It should be being taught like that. I saw stuff the other day. I saw Blue Peter. I'll play a clip from Blue Peter.
Sound waves, yeah? They're so powerful that we can actually use them to smash this glass.
No. Oh, wait.
Hey, that sounds like a matching skill.
Like, what's going on? This is Blue Peter. I think it's intentional. I think it's because I think it's easier to manufacture a compliant workforce if they're uneducated, which makes sense. How is that going to work, though, with the advent of AI? This is the other thing I think with immigration. This is why it's this kind of neo-Marxist pseudo thing. I don't really think I think it's a capitalist drive for employment, low-cost employment. That's why we're bringing in so many minorities, because the people that own these big businesses, well, they don't want to pay these massive pensions, and they don't want to pay massive amounts of money for you to come and work for them. So they're like, you know what, let's bring in loads of immigrants and we'll flood them into the marketplace, and therefore we get cheap labour as we improve shareholder value, therefore we can get investment and stuff like this. So when we have the socialists talking about, oh, diversity is great, what they're actually not realising is the diversity is taking their jobs. They're not getting paid as much money. They're like, oh, I can't really afford things. But yeah, because there's a diversity push coming in, and they're taking your jobs, mate. That's what they're doing. They're taking your jobs because they're willing to do them for less money than you are. See, wages haven't really gone up. This is the thing. Obviously, since women entered the workplace, and there weren't twice as many jobs, were there? So all of a sudden, we're now just not earning as much as you would do. Fine, we understand that. Equality, feminism, women want to be in the workplace. I've got no issue with that whatsoever. They want to come in the workplace, but it has stagnated wages for everyone. And it means that we've got to now go and pay for childcare like we never had to pay for it before. And this is the problem. And I saw this the other day as well with this policing. Like the police didn't want to arrest people who were jumping turnstiles and stuff like that. It's an accepted loss for Transport for London. And Transport for London came out with Robert Jenrick and said, he shouldn't be filming in there anyway, mate. It's like, okay, let's not concentrate on what Robert's done here by not asking for filming rights in Transport for London. By the way, the Sadiq Khan, the absolute traitor that man is, what's he doing in the country? If I was king, I'd jail him first and then I'd throw him overseas, probably keelhaul him first under a ship or something, you know what I mean? And then take him and drop him off some far and distant land and forget all about that man. He's the self-appointed chair for Transport for London. That's the problem we've got. So police weren't interested in locking up those people that were jumping turnstiles. And what we do is we get this acceptance of falling standards. We get this acceptance of it's all right to jump the turnstile. If that man's doing it's the broken windows theory. If he's doing it, then I should be able to do it. And it's not just jumping turnstiles, because people say, well, I don't want to jump the turnstile because people can see me. I've got a reputation, you know what I'm saying? But I'll tell you what, Oh, I won't pay the tax. I'll hide that little bit. And before you know it, the country crumbles because we're doing it at every step. We're allowing our own personal standards to fail. It's embarrassing, mate. And that's the problem. You should be embarrassed to allow yourself to be that kind of person that does that. The only thing you've got is your reputation. The way you think about yourself is everything. I keep telling people this. The way you think about yourself, if you know that you've done something hard, if you know that day you've done something worthwhile, you create an intrinsic value in yourself. You move forwards with something. I am a good person because I did that. I helped out that neighbor or whatever it was, or I got that graffiti off that fence, or I picked up some litter in my street because it's my street and I don't want to live in a hole. You know what I mean? Do you know what I mean? This is what I don't understand. Hit the comments and I'll tell you why as well. Something, guys, I'm real with you, right? Because we're real here, right? That last video when I was talking about the police, I do have police in my family. That's the thing. And I am very protective of the police in my family. And people go, you're biased, Tim. No, you're just anti-police. And rightly so. Because we're all anti-police at this state because they've been heavily politicised through common purpose. We know they flooded it with diversity. I'm as anti-police as you are. But I've got police in my family. I don't want to see them stabbed up. And if my sister was my sister isn't because she's a detective, so she wouldn't be a response police officer. She wouldn't be there. But let's say my sister was there facing a dude with a knife and he's old and everything else. Yeah, I don't want to just stab up in the face if he was to do a little bit of that. Watch the video again, you know what I mean? The guy threatened to murder the guy, and you know he's 92 years old and he's got, a UTI and he's all, but we can't have it both ways. You cannot push against the enforcement of that and then expect the police to, because the police are demoralized. We expect those police officers with that 92-year-old to be fresh and fed and watered and new and well trained, and they're fucking not, mate. They're just like us. They're just a bit confused and they're looking for a better job and the money's shit and they don't want to be there and they've been abused. And the last thing they dealt with before they rocked up at that 92-year-old was a kid who killed himself. The whole thing is ridiculous and we just expect so much better of our police, and yet we're recruiting the worst of society. And the reason we're recruiting the worst of society is the more we demonise the police, the less the good people want to join, and we end up with the shit. We end up with the shit police. And I've said about it before, you'll get the police you deserve, and we're getting the police we deserve. We're getting the dregs. I hate to say it. I'm not talking from the top of the... I'm not talking about from the people that have been in for like a decade or two. I'm talking about the people that are coming in the front door right now. Because why would you want to join the police? Because all we do is chastise the police. Like if you were working in a job and everyone just kept telling you how rubbish you were, you're shit, mate. When I see police on the street, I'll tell you what happens now. I go up to them, I go up to them and I say, thank you for doing what you're doing. And they're hostile to me. They go, sorry, what's that, mate? They're confrontational. I'm like, hey, hang on. I said, look, I'm not that guy. I said, look, I've got police in the family. But my father's a police officer for 37 years, old school. My sister still serving, good woman. She's been in for a long time now. And I know the police. And they're like, oh, are they? Oh, what? And then now they're all right. Now they're all right. But initially they're hostile. Why? Because everyone's hostile to the police. And it's a shame because they're just trying to do a good job. So really all I see is failing standards. I see failing standards in the police force. I see a lot of failing standards in the military. That's really upsetting. Really upsetting. I don't see good men and women in the top of the military standing up and saying, no, we need to just improve standards here. We're letting ourselves down. I mean, I did the video on the Royal Marines trying to get a woman through. Why? Because it would be good to get a woman through. Why? Because it will look good for the Corps. You're the Royal Marines, mate. You're shock troops. Stop being a bellend. Like, was that woman going to walk 56 miles across the Falklands back in 82? Was she going to walk across the Falklands? She'd be giving a javelin or a mortar to the guy next to her. She's never going to do it. And if she does pass the commanding course in 3 or 4 years, she's leaving to have a kid anyway. Fucking waste of training, mate. And that's the problem. People aren't looking at that sixth order effect. We're living for the now. That's the problem with standards. We're living for the now. And now I'm ranting in the car again, and it's a Saturday. We don't want to be doing that. You want to be doing that? You know what I'm saying? Guys, how are we going to sort this out? Hit the comments. I get what you said in the last video, by the way, and we just have to disagree. I just feel that officers needed to keep a distance, even though the dude was 92. And I get it. I just, you know what I mean? I've been attacked with knives before, and I know what knives do. And I know what that stupid little knife the dude had, we're just gonna have to disagree. I get it. But look, what are we gonna do about standards? How are we gonna lift this country up? Because if we don't do it, we're just gonna fall. And we're gonna sit here manking on about it, aren't we? Oh, the country's shit. Your country, mate. Your country, you've allowed your country to become shit. You've allowed it. You've allowed it. You. Me as well. What are we going to do about it? How are we going to do it? I believe it starts in community. I don't believe in reform. I don't believe in homeland, Labour, Conservative, Lib Dem. I couldn't care less. Couldn't care less. I believe in community. I believe it starts with the individual, and that's you. Now, you tell me what we can do, okay? I know what I'm doing, but you tell me what we can do. You know, I've got mad love, mad hugs coming out. I want you to have a great weekend, and I want you to plan for next week as well to really uphold your own standards and do some great in your local communities and have a great time at work and live in that work environment. You know, be that guy people look up to. I want you to do that. I want you to do really, really well, okay? I really do. Appreciate you watching the video, guys. I know it's Saturday. Tim Davies, Fast Ship Performance.